Morning in the company always felt like a battlefield, and I was the soldier who never arrived with his armor fully fastened. My shoes struck the marble floor in frantic taps as I dodged interns, flying documents, and the coffee machine line that snaked like punishment through the lobby. My breath came short, my tie swung loose, and in my head was one repeating prayer. Don't let me be late. Not today. Not again. Because my boss, my cold-eyed, terrifying, impossibly perfect alpha boss, did not tolerate late. Alec Rowan. Tall, broad-shouldered, sharply carved like marble sculpted by an angry god. Jet black hair swept back, jawline like a razor, eyes like winter, icy gray, unblinking, cutting. People feared him like myth, like a storm you don't question, you just run from. And Noah Bennett, his Omega assistant, seemed to attract his lightning like a magnet. I slipped into the elevator at the last second, heart racing, clutching reports I barely finished. The ride felt like a countdown to execution. 34th floor, the den of wolves, where whispers died, where footsteps softened, where employees bowed their heads and prayed to remain unseen. I stepped out and everything was normal until it wasn't, because silence fell. Phones stopped ringing. Fingers froze on keyboards. Heads turned toward the elevator, not mine, but the one behind me. And when the doors slid open, the world seemed to tilt. Alec Rowan stood there, but not alone. In his arms was a baby, a tiny newborn wrapped in a pale blue blanket, face scrunched, mouth open in a desperate wail that echoed through the entire floor. Alec, fearless alpha, ruthless CEO, looked helpless, and somehow angrier because of it. His suit was still immaculate black, tailored to perfection, shoulders broad beneath expensive fabric. But his tie was loosened, his hair slightly out of place, and there were faint dark circles beneath his eyes. Evidence of a war fought overnight, one he clearly did not win. The baby wailed louder. Everyone held their breath. Alec stepped forward, voice deep and commanding though strained. Meeting room. Now. No questions, no explanation. Just authority snapping through the air like a whip. We scrambled. Conference chairs scraped the floor. Papers shook. No one dared breathe too loudly. I ended up in the seat closest to Alec, because of course fate hated me. He stood at the head of the long glass table, the newborn cradled against his chest. The baby clutched the fabric of his suit with impossibly tiny fingers, soaking the shoulder with tears. Alec's voice cut through the room. This, he announced, is my child. Murmurs rippled like shockwaves. I felt them in my bones. No one ever imagined Alec with a child. He wasn't the type. He was stone, cold steel, sharp edges meant to cut, not cradle. And yet, here he was, holding a life so small I was afraid breathing too hard might break it. Someone finally found courage. Sir, newborn as in today? No, Alec replied stiffly. Newborn as in 2 weeks old. 2 weeks. So recent. So raw. Another employee coughed nervously. And the mother? Alec's jaw clenched. Muscles tightened beneath his skin. She is gone, he said, and will not return. His voice was final, the end of a door slammed, locked and buried. Silence returned. Heavy, awkward, stifling. Then his gaze slid to me. Slow, intentional, almost predatory. I froze like prey caught in headlights. Noah, he said. My entire soul flinched. Yes, sir, I answered, voice embarrassingly small. You will become the nanny. My brain broke. Words vanished. My mouth opened, no sound came out. A nanny? Me? I was an assistant, barely surviving that. And now he wanted me to take care of a baby? A baby that was currently screaming louder than my will to live? I swallowed. Hard. Sir, respectfully, I'm not trained in infant care. I stuttered. I write emails. I schedule meetings. I don't change diapers. You'll learn, Alec replied smoothly, voice cold as glass. Effective immediately. Gasps scattered through the room. I stared at him, heat rising under my skin. Confusion, panic, anger, all mixing. My scent must have spiked because a few betas shifted uncomfortably. I don't think I'm equipped for this, I whispered, but I wasn't sure if it was to him or myself. Alec stepped closer, eyes locked onto mine like a command, like ownership. He stopped crying immediately he saw you. That has never happened with the 34 nannies I've hired. The room spun at that, not because it sounded sweet, but because it was terrifying. He placed the baby in my arms before I could protest. I felt warmth, fragile, soft, alive, settle against my chest. Tiny breaths, tiny fingers gripping my shirt. The crying slowed, just a little. His skin smelled like milk and powder and something painfully innocent. Something in my chest cracked, but panic still clawed. Alec, please. He leaned close, voice low enough only I could hear. Do this, he murmured. Or hand in your resignation by noon. The threat slid down my spine like ice. My stomach tightened. My throat burned. I looked down at the baby's tiny face. Red, scrunched, trembling. And something inside me softened further. Against logic. Against my own fear. I swallowed. My voice came barely above breath. I'll stay. Alec's posture eased, only slightly, like tension leaving but never fully gone. He straightened, commanding the room again. Everyone out. Work resumes. Noah. Follow me. He turned and strode out. I scrambled after him with the baby in my arms, and the weight of a life I never asked for now resting on my heartbeat. As we walked to his office, his presence filled every step beside me. Tall, powerful, scent of crisp pine and cold rain. My hand trembled supporting the baby's head, but Alec noticed. Without a word, he reached out, steadying the baby with one large hand covering mine. Warm, firm, shocking. For a moment we stood too close. His breath brushed my cheek. His gray eyes, sharp, unreadable, met mine. I exhaled shakily. This wasn't just a job anymore. This alpha had brought a child into my world, and chained me to his side with it. And I didn't know whether to run, or hold on tighter. If someone had told me yesterday that I would be walking into my boss's office carrying a newborn baby like a ticking bomb, I would have laughed until security escorted me out. Yet here I was, carefully rocking a 2-week-old child while Alec Rowan, my alpha boss, the most intimidating man alive, held open the door to his office like this was a perfectly normal morning. His office was massive, glass walls overlooking the city skyline, floors polished to mirror brightness. It smelled like leather, ink, cedarwood, and something uniquely alpha, sharp, commanding, consuming. His desk sat like a throne, dark wood carved with edges as sharp as Alec himself. He closed the door behind us with a soft click that felt more like a lock. I shifted the baby's weight nervously. Sir, I still don't fully understand what's happening. He removed his suit jacket, tossing it across his chair, sleeves hugging the toned muscle of his forearms. His hair fell slightly loose across his forehead. Not messy, but human, vulnerable in a way I'd never seen. You're to take care of him, Alec said calmly, as though assigning spreadsheets. But why me? I blurted before I could stop myself. You could hire a professional nanny, a trained caretaker, someone who doesn't panic when a baby makes a sound. For a moment, Alec simply stared at me, the weight of his gaze cold and unreadable. He stopped crying when you held him. My eyes widened, my breath hitched, because he was right. The newborn, who had been screaming like the world was ending, now rested quietly against my chest. His tiny fist was wrapped around my shirt collar like he'd chosen me. But that doesn't mean it's enough. Alec cut in, voice absolute. And I need someone I can rely on inside this building. Someone who doesn't quit when things get difficult. I swallowed. Or someone who can't afford to. His gaze flickered at that. A micro-expression, guilt or realization. Couldn't tell. Alec stepped closer, towering over me, the faint warmth of his body brushing mine. Noah, he said low. I meant what I said. You're the one person I trust not to betray me. My heart stuttered, because for the first time, there was no harsh edge in his tone, only exhaustion. Worn down steel, a shield cracking at the seams. Before I could answer, he cleared his throat and straightened, business returning to his spine like armor sliding back into place. "You'll work here," he said, motioning to a small adjacent room, one that used to be a storage or occasionally used meeting space. "It will be converted into a nursery within the hour." My eyes widened. Converted? As in, right now? Yes. He pressed a button on his desk phone. "Send HR, facilities, and legal to my office immediately." Within minutes, people entered like a moving storm: carpenters, designers, HR managers with contracts in hand. They all avoided eye contact with Alec like he might bite if addressed without permission. Alec gestured toward a chair. "Sit," he instructed. With the baby in my arms, I hesitated. Sitting felt too formal, too permanent, but I obeyed. The infant yawned, eyelashes fluttering, impossibly delicate. My chest tightened unexpectedly. HR slid paperwork across the table, a contract, thick and official. Temporary position adjustment. Personal nanny caretaker. Salary increase. Non-disclosure agreement. My hands shook. "This is insane," I whispered. Alec leaned over the table, bracing both hands on the polished surface. His eyes locked into mine, steel uncompromising. "Sign it, Noah." I looked up at him. "You're just deciding my life for me?" His voice softened, barely. "I'm asking you to help me." The request didn't sound like Alec. It sounded like a father desperate to keep his child alive, to preserve the only stability he had left. And everyone in the room could feel it, the way the alpha veneer trembled around the edges. I inhaled, long and shaky. The baby made a small sound, mouth searching quietly, rooting against my shirt. "He's hungry," I murmured. Alec blinked, caught off guard. "Hungry? Yes, he needs milk." My voice instinctively gentled. "Where's his formula?" Alec frowned, checking a bag like he was defusing a bomb. He pulled out a bottle, unopened, unused. "I don't know how to prepare it." It was the first time I'd seen him look small. I couldn't help it. A laugh escaped, soft, shocked, disbelieving. "You stormed in with a baby but didn't learn how to feed him?" His ears tinted faintly red. "I was busy trying to keep him alive." Something warm flickered in my chest. Amusement, sympathy, something dangerously close to affection. I sighed, shifted the baby carefully, and stood. "Give me the bottle, Alec." He handed it over reluctantly, like admitting dependence was painful. I walked toward the small coffee bar in the corner. Espresso machine, kettle, filtered water. I boiled water, mixed the formula, cooled it, testing drops on the back of my hand. My hands hadn't stopped trembling, but I was doing it. When I returned, Alec was watching me. Not the baby, not the contract, me. His stare followed the way I held the bottle, the way the infant latched and sucked gently, tiny hands resting against my chest. The room was silent. Even the renovations paused for a heartbeat. "You look natural," Alec said quietly. I froze, stomach tightening. "Don't romanticize survival, sir." His jaw flexed. I wasn't. But his eyes said otherwise, studying me with something new, something raw. The baby finished feeding and fell asleep against my shoulder, warm and trusting. I couldn't remember the last time something depended on me like this. Alec stepped closer, close enough that I felt the heat radiating from his chest, the scent of his alpha presence. Pine, rain, power. My breath caught. "Noah," he murmured, voice lower. "Sign the contract. Stay." Softness. Vulnerability. Dangerous. I lifted my eyes to his, slowly, painfully, like climbing out of a cage into a new one. "I'm scared," I admitted. "I know." His voice was barely audible. "So am I." The words hit harder than any command he'd ever thrown. My hand hovered over the pen. My pulse thundered. If I sign, I become something more than an assistant. Tied to him, tied to this child, tied to the alpha who could ruin or remake me. I exhaled, long, surrendering, and signed. Alec didn't smile, but relief washed through his posture, like a man unclenching after holding breath for days. "Good," he said softly. "You're with me now." The sentence echoed deeper than it should have. As contractors began transforming the adjoining room into a nursery, Alec stood beside me. Close enough to feel, close enough to notice every breath I took. Not boss and employee anymore, but something unspoken, fragile, forming. I held the sleeping baby tighter, his heartbeat faint against my palm. And for the first time, I wondered not how I had ended up here, but what this alpha was going to do with me now that I was his. If there was one thing I learned quickly, it was that newborns didn't care about business hours. By late evening, the office was nearly empty. Lights dimmed, footsteps faded, printers silent except for the soft hum of servers working overtime. Yet I remained, pacing slowly around Alec's office with the baby resting against my shoulder. His tiny breaths ghosted warmly against my neck. Alec sat at his desk, sleeves rolled up again, head bent over endless documents. His tie had been discarded hours ago, top buttons undone, revealing a distracting line of collarbone and tanned skin. A tired alpha, sharp, powerful, fraying at the edges. "You should go home," he said without looking up. I snorted quietly. "Funny. I thought you hired me to stay." His eyes flicked up, slow and smoldering gray, steel under candlelight. "I hired you to care for him, not exhaust yourself." I glanced at the baby sleeping in my arms, soft and weightless like trust itself. "He's fine. I'll manage." Alec leaned back, studying me from across the room, chest broad under white shirt, muscles flexing as he stretched. "You haven't eaten since morning. That's not managing." "Neither have you," I shot back. He froze. I expected coldness, the usual shutdown he used to keep the world out. But instead, Alec sighed. Softly, a sound like surrender. "You're right," he admitted. "I don't know what I'm doing." The confession hit me harder than it should. Alec Rowan wasn't supposed to doubt. He wasn't supposed to tremble or fear, or stand in his own office looking like a man handed a life he didn't know how to hold without breaking. But here he was, and I was here with him. He stood and moved toward me, his height overwhelming, presence thick with authority and a lingering scent of pine and smoke. He stopped inches away, his voice low. "Teach me, Noah." My pulse stumbled. "Teach you what?" "How to be a father." The room exhaled around us. I swallowed, nerves knotting with something warmer. Before I could respond, the baby stirred, tiny face scrunching. I shifted him gently, whispering soft reassurance. Alec watched every motion. The way I cradled the infant's head, the slow sway of my hips, the way the baby relaxed again with a sigh. "You're good with him," Alec murmured. I felt heat climb my neck. "I'm trying. He deserves someone who knows what they're doing." "Then stay close to me," Alec said. Too soft, too intimate, not a command this time, a plea. But before I could unravel that, the lights flickered, once, twice, then died. The building sighed into darkness. The AC cut off. The city outside glowed faint through glass, but inside was shadow, silent except for my quickened breathing and Alec's deep inhale beside me. "Power outage," Alec said calmly, but his hand brushed mine. Instinctive, protective. "Stay here." The baby whimpered at the sudden shift, small body tensing. Darkness, silence, terrifying for a child. And for me, "He needs light," I whispered, tightening my hold. "And warmth." Alec's voice softened. "Then we'll give him both." He guided me through the dark with a hand on my lower back. Warm, grounding, too steady for a man who claimed he didn't know what to do. I could feel his body heat, the faint vibration of alpha energy curling protectively around us. We ended up near the sofa in his office. Plush leather, large enough to lie on. He sat, then gestured. "Come here." I hesitated. Being close to Alec was like standing near fire, warm but dangerously consuming. Yet the baby whimpered again, small fists flailing in the dark, searching for comfort. So I sat beside him, careful, tense, but when our thighs brushed, Alec didn't move away. He held out his arms. "Let me try." The baby felt impossibly small as I transferred him into Alec's larger hands. His touch was clumsy at first, uncertain, but he was gentle, painfully gentle. He's lighter than I expect, Alec whispered. So fragile. Like he might vanish if I breathe wrong. Newborns are small, I murmured. But they're stronger than we think. Alec stared down at the little face, expression unreadable in the dim glow. The baby looked up at him, eyes soft, trusting. For a moment, everything was still. My son, Alec breathed. The words trembled. Emotion cracked through his voice like lightning splitting ice. The baby fussed again, so I moved closer, guiding Alec's arms, showing him the right angle, teaching him how to sway gently. His shoulder brushed mine with every movement. Heat, scent, softness disguised as instruction. The darkness made us honest. Noah, Alec said quietly, why didn't you run today? I blinked, startled. Do you want the truth? He nodded. Because you looked like you were drowning, I whispered. And someone had to pull you up. A long silence. Then Alec's voice, hushed. No one has ever said that to me. He let out a slow breath. Tired, human. And the baby finally settled, tiny hand gripping Alec's finger like an anchor. We stayed like that, the three of us, wrapped in night and new breathing. Minutes bled into hours, comfortable and terrifying all at once. At some point, exhaustion dragged my body down. I must have leaned sideways because suddenly my head rested against Alec's shoulder. Firm, warm, steady beneath me. I jolted faintly. Sorry. His voice stopped me, low and gentle near my ear. Don't move. He angled slightly, letting me rest more comfortably, his shoulder becoming a pillow. The baby slept against his chest. And somehow, I felt like I belonged there too, caught between responsibility and something sweeter. You did well today, Alec murmured. My throat tightened. So did you. No, he said. I only survived because you were here. The truth in his tone stole my breath. I turned my face upward slightly, and in the faint light through glass, I saw him watching me. His eyes weren't cold anymore. They were storm-colored, deep, emotional, dangerous with something new. Something I wasn't ready to name. We didn't kiss. We didn't touch more than shoulders and shared warmth. But something changed. Something unspoken, fragile, real. As the night deepened, I slept with my head against Alec, the baby secure between us. As if the world had narrowed to the three of us, bound not by obligation, but by something almost like family. And I feared, no, I knew, that this was only the beginning of a much more complicated fall. By the next morning, the power was back. Light steady and bright like nothing intimate had ever happened under their absence. But my body remembered. My shoulder remembered the shape of Alec beneath my cheek. My mind replayed his voice. Don't move. Dangerous words for a man like him. I arrived earlier than usual. Baby carrier strapped against my chest. Tiny breaths warming through the fabric. The nursery room beside Alec's office was now nearly finished. Crib assembled, soft blankets, shelves stocked with formula, bottles, wipes. They built it overnight. For us. For me. I carefully placed the baby in the crib, smoothing a hand over his small body. He squirmed but stayed asleep. You're settling in well. A voice not Alec's. Smooth, deep, confident, different. I turned to see Ethan Blake standing in the doorway. A tall, well-groomed beta department manager. Golden brown hair styled neatly, warm hazel eyes that crinkled when he smiled. He wore soft beige and navy, a gentler palette than Alec's hard blacks and grays. Ethan always treated me with kindness when others didn't. I straightened, suddenly nervous. Good morning, Ethan. He stepped closer, gaze flicking to the baby with curiosity. So it's true, he murmured. Alec brought a baby to work and assigned you. I flushed. Not assigned. He asked. Ethan's smile tilted, amused, teasing. Asked or ordered, Noah? I swallowed, because we both knew the difference. He leaned in slightly, the space shrinking. Ethan smelled of sandalwood and citrus, lighter than Alec's rainwolf scent. Warmer, safer. His voice dropped lower. I would have helped you too, you know? Before I could answer, footsteps sounded behind us. Heavy, commanding, a presence like a shadow cutting the air. Alec, His voice dropped into the room like thunder. How long have you been standing this close to him? The air thickened. Ethan stepped back slowly, turning with a polite smile. Good morning, Alec. Alec did not return the greeting. His eyes, sharp, gray, vibrating with something like possessive storm, pinned on Ethan, and then on me. His jaw tightened. I felt my pulse jump. Ethan spoke easily, like unaware of the cliff he'd stepped near. Just checking on the new arrangements. Noah seems to be handling things well. Alec walked in, body tall, shoulders squared, authority bleeding into every step. His breath carried warning, scent heavy and territorial. He stopped beside me, close enough our sleeves brushed. He's not your concern, Alec said smoothly. Ethan's smile stayed, but eyes cooled faintly. As department head, all staff are my concern. And Noah, Alec replied, voice sharp as ice, is mine. The words snapped through the room. Mine. Heat spiraled through my ribs too fast, too dangerous. I swallowed hard, gripping the crib frame to steady myself. Ethan raised a brow. Possessive language for an assistant, he murmured. I opened my mouth, to explain, to diffuse, but Alec spoke before I breathed. He's more than that now. Silence. Heavy. Electric. Ethan looked at me, eyes questioning. Are you? And I didn't have an answer. He exhaled softly. Well, if you ever need a break, Noah, come to the lounge. I'll keep you company. Alec made a low sound, not a word, a warning. Walls vibrated with it. Ethan winked at me, bold, then walked out casually. The door closed, leaving charged air behind. Alec turned to me. His eyes burned. What were you talking about with him? My brows drew together. Why does it matter? You were smiling, Alec said. Too fast, too raw. So, I challenged. Alec stepped closer, close enough that my breath hitched. His voice lowered, danger soft. I don't like others near you. My heart tried to escape my ribs. I'm not your property. No, he agreed quietly. But you're not his either. There it was, jealousy unveiled and pulsing. I should have stepped back, should have kept space. Instead I whispered, breath unsteady. Alec, why does it bother you? For a long moment he didn't speak. He just stared at me, like I was a puzzle he hated not understanding. Finally, his voice came low and unguarded. Because you stayed when no one else did. You held my son when I couldn't. You sleep beside me without fear. His eyes softened, painfully so. You matter to me, Noah. My chest tightened like a punch. But before I could respond, a cry sliced through the tension. The baby woke, wailing loud enough to snap us both back to reality. I moved instinctively. Alec reached too. Our hands touched on the crib rail, warm skin against skin. Sparks shot up my arm. We froze, eyes locked. Then he withdrew first, letting me lift the baby. His voice softened to velvet. Feed him. I'll join you. He left to cool himself, I assumed. I sat in the nursery rocking the baby gently, bottle warm in hand. My heartbeat was still wild. A knock sounded softly. Ethan again. He leaned against the doorframe, smiled gentler than before. Is everything okay? Alec didn't scare you, did he? No, I whispered. Just intense. Ethan stepped inside slowly, respect in his gait. You deserve someone who looks at you with more than ownership, Noah. Someone who sees you, all of you. His voice was warm, melting. He was kind, soft, safe. Part of me wanted to fall into that warmth, away from the fire Alec threatened to become. But Alec suddenly appeared in the doorway, silent as a predator. His eyes were lethal. Leave. Ethan straightened, jaw tight, no longer smiling. You don't control him, Alec. Alec stepped closer, slow, terrifyingly calm. I control what affects him, and you're affecting him. My breath caught because Alec wasn't hiding anything now. Ethan's eyes flicked to me, searching. Noah, do you want me to leave? The room stilled. Alec watched me. Hunger, fear, possession, and vulnerability all tangled behind his eyes. Two men. One safe, one dangerous, both watching me. I swallowed. Ethan, I said softly. He waited. I met his eyes. Not right now. Hurt flickered across his features, brief and honest. He nodded once, stiff, and walked away. The door clicked closed. Silence swallowed the room. Alec exhaled. A shaky, territorial breath, and moved toward me slowly, like approaching something precious he didn't know how to hold. Noah, he murmured. Look at me. I did. And the way he stared at me then, intense, raw, almost desperate, told me one truth clearer than anything else. This wasn't just duty anymore. This alpha wanted me, and I didn't know if that terrified me or thrilled me more than it should. The company felt colder than usual the next morning, or maybe it was me. My body buzzed with leftover adrenaline from last night. The way Alec's voice had dropped, the way his eyes had softened only to burn again. I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard it. You don't get to walk away from me. His voice, alpha deep, low, claiming. And the worst part? A part of me liked being claimed. I tried to brush the thought away as I walked into the lobby, clutching my bag with clammy hands. Employees greeted me cautiously. That was new. Normally everyone was loud with me, teasing me, treating me like the office-friendly, harmless Noah. Now their gazes flicked between me and the elevator like they knew something happened, like they could smell the tension in the air. Werewolves probably could. Maybe humans could too. The elevator doors opened and there he was. Broad shoulders, dark hair slightly messy like he had run his hand through it 1,000 times. The top buttons of his black shirt undone just enough to reveal a hint of his toned chest. His sleeves were rolled to his elbows, veins visible, strong, masculine. Beautiful. A crying baby rested in his arm. Eli. My heart kicked painfully. Alec's eyes met mine. Not cold. Not warm. Something in between, dangerous and magnetic. Noah. His voice wrapped around me like velvet and command at once. Come with me. I swallowed. To your office? He stepped closer, way too close, inhaling the scent of my neck like he did last night. To mine. Always. My breath tangled in my throat. Employees hurriedly looked away, pretending they didn't just witness their alpha CEO scent-marking me with his presence alone. I followed him to the private executive floor, his floor where only he had access. The doors shut behind us with a soft click, sealing us inside his scent. Sandalwood, musk, wild pine, intoxicating alpha thick. He placed Eli gently in the crib beside his desk, shoulders relaxing only slightly as the baby quieted at the sound of his heartbeat. Then his gaze snapped to me. You left yesterday without permission. My pulse jumped. You were staring at me like you wanted to break you. His tone was calm, maddeningly even. Or kiss you. I flinched. My cheeks burned. I don't know. He moved closer. One slow step after the other until I had to lean back against the edge of his desk. You do. His fingers brushed my jaw. You feel it too. His touch felt like fire. Not gentle fire, but burning, claiming, spreading heat beneath my skin. I tried to speak, but my chest tightened. Alec, I'm your employee. I'm just the nanny. My voice shook. This is inappropriate. His eyes darkened half a shade. You're not just anything, Noah. His hand cupped my cheek fully now, thumb tracing my skin with maddening tenderness. You are the one Eli comes for. You are the one my wolf watches. You are the only one I've brought into my territory this way. My what? My breath hitched. Your territory? He nodded slowly, deliberately. You're inside my pack space, he murmured, voice dropping to a rough growl. And I don't allow anyone here unless they matter. The words hit me like impact shock. Me? I mattered? My heart felt warm and terrified all at once. But why? My voice cracked. Why me? I'm not strong. I'm not special. He cut me off with sudden force, not physical but emotional. Noah, look at me. I did. Alec's eyes glowed faintly gold, wolf peeking through. I don't need strong. His voice was soft but firm. I need gentle. I need kind. I need someone who will hold Eli when I can't breathe. Pause. Then softer, painfully sincere. I need you. My knees almost gave out. He took a step closer, chest nearly touching mine. I could feel the heat of his body, the quiet thunder of his heartbeat. I don't know how to do this, he admitted. I've never wanted someone like this. My voice trembled. You want me? He inhaled sharply like the truth hurt. More than is safe. We stood there, 2 breaths apart, suspended between desire and danger. Then Eli whined softly in the crib. The moment broke, but didn't fade. Alec turned, gently picked him up, cradling the baby with reverence that softened every sharp edge in him. Watching it made something melt inside me. You look softer when you hold him, I whispered. He glanced at me over Eli's tiny head. And you look braver when you speak from your heart. I looked away, flustered and exposed. He stepped toward me again, holding Eli with one arm, the other reaching to tilt my chin up. Noah, his voice dipped, almost hesitant. Stay after work with us. Have dinner here. As family. My lips parted. Family? Yes. His gaze searched me hungrily, hopefully. Let me show you what pack means. Not just obedience. Not control. Home. Home. Me. Eli. Him. The thought shook me apart. I nodded slowly, voice fragile. Okay. I'll stay. Alec's exhale was deep, relief flooding him like light. Something unspoken passed between us. An invisible thread tightening. Then he leaned in and whispered. Low, rough, sincere. You're not leaving me again. My stomach flipped. You can't order me to stay. He smirked. The kind of slow, dangerous smile that said he could and he would if I let him. No, he murmured, brushing a strand of hair away from my face, fingers lingering like silk. But I can make you want to. And I did. God, I did. The rest of the day passed in a blur of stolen glances, brushed fingers, shared laughter over Eli's messy attempt to eat mashed bananas. Every moment felt intimate, like we were a forming constellation, individual stars but meant to connect. By evening, Alec cleared space at his private dining table, served dinner himself. Steak, potatoes, warm bread, and we ate with Eli between us like he was the bridge of something new and terrifying and beautiful. At one point, Eli grabbed my finger, tiny hand curling around it. Alec watched with a softness that shattered me. You look right like that, he whispered. Like what? He held my gaze, voice thick. Like mine. My breath stopped. Alec leaned closer slowly, offering me every second to pull away. I didn't. He brushed his forehead to mine. Not a kiss, but intimate enough to steal the ground beneath me. My pack, he breathed, and I realized he wasn't just talking about belonging. He was claiming. I never imagined my life ending up here. Not as a victim of circumstance or a captured employee, but as someone standing beside a man people feared, with a baby who clung to my shirt like I was his whole world. Alec stood in front of me now in the quiet warmth of his penthouse living room. The city glittered beyond the glass wall behind him, night lights glowing like scattered constellations. Eli slept in my arms, small cheek pressed to my chest, soft breaths feather light. I traced a gentle circle on his back. Tiny, warm, mine in ways I never expected. Alec watched us, leaning against the counter like he was afraid to move and break what had formed between us. His sleeves were rolled up again, collar loose, hair falling over his brow. He looked less alpha, more man. Fierce, yes, but vulnerable in the shadows. Noah, he said quietly, voice no longer a command. You have 2 choices tonight. My heart knocked against my ribs. He stepped forward slowly, eyes silvering with something soft, hopeful. You can walk away, he continued. Go back to your old life. Pretend this never happened. I won't stop you. The breath I took felt like glass. Or, his gaze dropped to Eli, then returned to me with a softness that tugged my soul. Or you stay. With me. With him. Not as a nanny. His voice thinned with emotion. But as family. A lump formed in my throat. Alec. He exhaled shakily. Alphas weren't supposed to hesitate, but he did. For me. I'm not promising perfection, he confessed. I'm jealous, possessive. I growl too much and I don't always know how to love without gripping too tight. He closed the distance between us, fingers brushing Eli's hair, then trailing up to my jaw. But I will learn, he whispered. If you'll let me. The room felt impossibly still. I thought of the day he walked into the office with a crying baby. How I became caretaker, then anchor, then something else entirely. I thought of how my heart leapt each time he said my name. How Eli smiled first for me. How Alex softened in ways only I seemed to witness. I looked at him, really looked. This man wasn't asking me to serve him. He was asking me to stay. I took a slow breath, my voice barely steady. I don't want to leave. Alex's eyes widened, then softened into something luminous. You sure? I stepped closer, offering him the baby, offering him myself. Yes, I whispered, cheeks warm, heart full. I think I already belong. Alex's hand slid to the back of my neck, gentle but certain, like he was holding his future in his palm. He leaned his forehead to mine, the same tender touch that once made my knees weak, and this time, instead of fear, I felt home. Eli slept between us like a promise. Alec murmured against my skin, "Welcome to the pack, Noah." And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like someone's employee. I felt loved. I felt chosen. I felt claimed not by command, but by devotion. And I stayed.